Hey there, welcome back to this week's episode of AI After Hours. I'm your host, Katie Shive, and this is your place, your one stop shop where we talk all things AI after hours. Because if you're anything like me, you're busy building in the middle of the day, and you're probably trying to learn a little bit at night or sometime in between after hours. So let's get into this week's episode. Now, today I'm going to talk to you about a tool that maybe you've heard of. It's definitely getting more traction, but it's something that I've been experimenting with for months now and I am obsessed with. So it is Notebook LM, which is owned by Google. So that should tell you a lot that it's pretty cool and it's very heavily leans into education and all kinds of things. So I first learned about this tool last year when a girlfriend of mine who is in medical school, she has two small kids, and she was telling me a way of how she's using AI to learn. And I was like, cool, tell me more. What is this tool? So, in short, she takes all of her presentations, her study notes, her lectures, any videos, just a myriad of resources. She drops them into a notebook. And then in that, you can select I want a podcast, I want study notes, I want quiz, I want flashcards, like all kinds of different tools. It literally in seconds of the click of a button. So I was like, oh, that's pretty fascinating. Well, then I was talking to a friend of mine. Shout out to Brent Emler, if you're listening. And he was telling me that he used Notebook LM to help him crush his NMLS exam. And when I mean crush, he literally smoked his score on the first try. So not fair, but that's Brent. But, anyways, what he did is also he took his notes, all of the resources that he had to prep for the NMLS exam. He would drop those in and create mini podcast episodes on different topics. And then when he was out and about, driving on the go, he'd listen to these podcasts to learn it. And then, as you can tell, the proof is in the pudding. He crushed his exam. All right. So those are some cool, unique cases, but you might be thinking, I'm not studying for an NMLS exam. I'm certainly not going to medical school. So, like, how would this benefit me, or how might this be used as a tool to help me grow my business? This is where it gets cool. And I personally think Notebook LM is widely under leveraged. Now, people think of it as a training tool, but what if you turned this into a lead magnet? What if you turned this into a marketing tool or a link for ManyChat or what have you? Now, let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to actually walk you through exactly how I built mine that I'm going to be demoing you. Now, if you've been in this before, you know that First Home IQ is a nonprofit that is near and dear to my heart. I'm going to give you a quick 15-second pitch. If you don't know about First Home IQ, go to their website, firsthomeIQ.com, learn about them. But they are the industry's nonprofit. They create educational tools, research, webinars, all kinds of things for housing professionals to help research and educate next gen homebuyers. Now, every year they produce a massive research report. It's called the Next Gen Homebuyer Report. They've been doing this for a little over 5 years now, and they've surveyed over 9,000 first time homebuyers that are in that next gen age bracket. What they do with that research is profound because they turn it into an incredible report that they give away for free to our industry. If you do not have these reports, if you do not use them, you are missing out. And also, they're on their website. So head over to First Home IQ, look at the research. You can download the goods for yourself. But here's what I did. I thought, how cool would it be if I was a loan officer or if I was a realtor and I wanted to, one, for myself selfishly, really absorb this information? Are you going to go through 5 years worth of data and research and like memorize all the stats? No, no, you're not. However, what if you dropped that into Notebook LM and you had it organized in a way that now in an 18-minute podcast, you could learn what are the biggest pain points? What are the psychological barriers? Where are we at currently? And where might we be heading? Also, you can do things like a video, flashcards, all kinds of stuff. But second to that, outside of just your personal learning, what if you took this information and you now took it to your realtor partners or realtors? What if you turned this into a first-time home buyer class? And for anybody that attended the class, you're like, hey, here is a bunch of tools and resources that you can use, take away from the class, go learn this on your own. All right, let's get into it. So, what I did is I went to First Home IQ's website first and I downloaded all of their reports, or I pulled the links depending on what was most available. Now, when you go into, you'd create a brand new notebook, and then you'll see, if you're watching, you'll see this on my screen. If you're listening, you can head over to YouTube and watch this, or you can just kind of follow along as I'm vocally explaining it. So you're going to take all of your resources and you're going to go into the tab that on the left-hand side that says add source. You can see here I have a lot of different sources because First Home IQ doesn't gatekeep. They give you all the goods. So I went in, I pulled their links, I pulled reports, I pulled, their presentations, everything that I could that was publicly available. I added that in as the resource. Then you can come over to the right-hand side. You'll see where it says studio, and they currently have 9 different types of tools that you can use. They have a podcast, so it's an audio overview. They have a slide deck creator, a video creator, a mind map, reports, flashcards, quiz, infographic, and even a data table. Now, I started with the audio because I love a good podcast. So if you click on this little pencil right here, you'll see a new button pop up. Now, there's 4 different types of podcasts styles that you can choose from. A deep dive, which is typically what I like to do, a brief, which is more of a bite-sized overview, a critique, and then a debate. So if you wanted to say, hey, let's create a debate on why is now is a good time to buy a house. And let's talk about it from 2 different angles, high rate, low rate, what have you. That's another way that you could do it. You can choose the length by short, default, or long. And here's another really cool thing. I believe it has over 60 different languages, but if you serve clients that speak a different language, whether that's Spanish or Chinese or Russian, whatever the example is, you can select a different language. So now you can convert all of these resources into tools in a language for your client's native tongue. How cool is that? All right. And the last thing I want to call attention to is there's going to be a box in here that you can give a prompt. Now, if you don't know what to prompt, you don't have to. It's pretty smart. It will generate a podcast discussion on its own intuition. It'll pull the information and then come up with whatever is the best angle. However, if you want to guide it, you certainly can. Now, you know me, I'm always meta. So it's like I went into AI to help write the prompt to then go back into another AI tool to help generate the prompt. So I love using Claude. So I went into my Claude and then I just asked, hey, I'm trying to write a prompt for a Notebook LM podcast. Please give me a summary or the prompt. I'm wanting it to focus on X, Y, and Z. Okay, simple prompt. It gives me a really comprehensive output. I just copy and pasted that into the prompt. Then I clicked generate. This is all inside Notebook LM. Now you'll see here, if you're watching on the right-hand side under my studio, I generated 6 different tools. So I generated a podcast, I generated a video, a playbook, a mind map, a blog post, and a flyer. Okay. So within just a couple minutes, I had 6 done for me resources. Now, you might say, well, I have a really established brand and I have all of my colors and my fonts and all of that. Now, I haven't manipulated the design aspects as much. I haven't gotten that deep down the rabbit trail. I would imagine that you could go and give it your color codes or maybe your fonts, and it might do that. I will tell you from all of the resources that I pulled with First Home IQ, in the visual graphics that it produced, it did pull their colors over. So it wasn't far off from some of their color schemes that they currently use. That said, the way that you share this, I think is important. So here are some use cases on how I would share this. Again, if I was doing a lunch and learn, if I was doing some sort of webinar or virtual presentation, I would turn this notebook into a lead magnet. So every time we share something, we want to, stay in touch with the people that we're sharing our resources with. So what if you turned this into a form? You could even do this for free on Google Forms. You don't have to have a fancy website and lead magnet, set up to do this. You can literally DIY hack all of this for free if you wanted to. I would go create a free form, and then they just collect name and email, and then access, right? And then set it up where they give you their information, and then you email them this link. Have some sort of standard email, that with jargon that's like, hey, thank you so much, what have you, and then here's the link to access. Okay, now you can do this. Also, you could use this as a texting tool. What if you created a video in Instagram, you did a reel, or you did something short form on YouTube, and you said, hey, respond link or respond notebook, and I will send you the tool. Right now, you can set up ManyChat. You could set up whatever automation tool that you have that will then send this to your audience when they request it. So, some really cool ways that you can be using this. Again, if you have your own resources, maybe you have your own blog that you maintain, that is a great way to pull in your resources. What if you did a whole topic on down payment assistance? Or what if you did a topic on, the spring housing market, or what is going on in your local market? Or something for first-time home buyers, or if you have a specialty for VA buyers or move-up buyers. Like, hopefully you can tell the ideas really are infinite, but this is a really cool way that you can aggregate it in one place. So now you're not having to be like, oh, here's a podcast on a separate episode, and here, all of these links in different places. Because it's created in Notebook LM, you have one link that will share a resource. Second to that, when they open this, if you share it, because all of the sources have been shared and baked into this tool, they can also go in and use the Notebook LM's AI tool, which is going to be Gemini, and they can start asking questions. Hey, in the 2021 report, what was the most important takeaway? Right? So now you're also giving them a tool where they can ask AI questions, and the sources are what you self-select. So a lot of really cool ways to use this. This is just one example. I have lots of ways that I personally love using Notebook LM to serve my audience and to, share information. But wanted to send this to you guys first so that you hear it here. And I wanted to get your creative juices flowing in terms of how can I not just think of Notebook LM as a learning tool, but as a lead magnet tool. So thank you for listening. That is my quick tip for the week. I'm going to put in the show notes the specific link to the First Home IQ studio notebook that I created. If you want to access that and reference it, you can go ahead and do so. It's really great. Like I said, it does summarize all of the things. And if you don't know of First Home IQ, please go check them out. They're an incredible organization that is doing massive things for our industry, and they are definitely worth knowing. All right, that's it. That's all. I will see you next week, and thank you for listening to another episode of AI After Hours.